All and welcome to the new video. Today we will discuss Merchant of Venice, Act 2, Scene 8. We have been discussing that the masquerade party has been cancelled. Antonio says to Gratiano that there will be no masquerade because the wind is blowing in the right direction, and Bassanio with Gratiano has to go to Belmont. So that was the basic reason the masquerade were cancelled in Merchant of Venice. And after that we did have that cascade scene of Prince of Morocco. And then in Act 2, Scene 8, which is plotted in a street in Venice, two friends, Salarino and Salanio, are talking about the departure of Bassanio with Gratiano, and we have been discussing the plot of Jessica and Lorenzo, how Jessica eloped from her house on the night of masquerade, on which masquerade was to be held. So Jessica and Lorenzo eloped, but they didn't went in the ship in which Bassanio was sailing. Actually, they were in the gondola, a small boat. So that has been on the background and not clearly stated by Shakespeare in his play, that how did they elope, how did they board in the ship, and how did Lorenzo and Jessica boarded in the boat. But we get this all information from the discussion of Salarino and Salanio. So they both are discussing this, and this scene is before an important scene, that is the cascade scene of Prince of Aragon, which is the second most important cascade scene after the Prince of Morocco, and rather the third most is the cascade scene of Bassanio itself. So in this Act 2, Scene 8, we will know that how is Shylock puzzled in grievance. He is shouting in the streets how he has complained to the Duke, and Duke is also searching Bassanio and Lorenzo that if they can found both of them, but they were not found. And in this we will also get the information that there is a danger to the ships of Antonio. They might have been wrecked, because that was heard from a Frenchman. So all these themes that prepare the plot for the further play we are going to discuss. So let us start with the dialogue of Salarino. Salarino talks with Salanio. Salarino says, "Why, man, I saw Bassanio under sail. With him is Gratiano gone alone." So he says that, dear friend, he is saying to Salanio. Salarino and Salanio are talking, and Salarino says to Salanio that, dear friend, I saw Bassanio under the sail. He saw Bassanio going in the ship. With him is Gratiano gone along. So Gratiano was with him. So Bassanio and Gratiano sailed in a ship, and that is what Salarino is telling to Salanio. They are talking in Venice in a street, and in their ship I am sure Lorenzo is not, and he is certifying that although Lorenzo has eloped, Lorenzo has skipped away, but he is not in the ship of Bassanio. So now in reply, in anticipation, Salanio says, the villain Jew with outcries raised the Duke, who went with him to search Bassanio's ship. Now he gives another information that the villain Jew, the Shylock, was disturbed, and he disturbed Duke too. So he disturbed with his cries the Duke of Venice, and due to that fact the Duke of Venice went to search out Bassanio and Lorenzo with him, and obviously the daughter of Shylock, Jessica. So the villain Jew with outcries raised the Duke, who went with him to search Bassanio's ship. So that was the dialogue of Salanio, that the Duke went out to search Bassanio. Now Salarino says in reply, he came too late. The ship was under sail. So they came, but they came late because ship was already sailed. But there the Duke was given to understand that in gondola were seen together Lorenzo and her amorous Jessica. So they came late, the Duke came late, Shylock came late, and then the Duke was to understood. He came to know the fact that Lorenzo and her beloved, his beloved Jessica, amorous beloved, his beloved Jessica were in a gondola, in a small boat, the boats that are famous in Italy. So they ran away in that boat, not in the ship of Bassanio. This was the information the Duke got while he was searching Bassanio. Besides, Antonio certified the Duke they were not with Bassanio in his ship, and besides this, Antonio also certified and convinced the Duke that they were not in the ship of Bassanio. So Antonio and Bassanio are not in the plot of escaping of Jessica. That is what Antonio is trying to justify to the Duke and to the Shylock also. So Salanio says, I have never heard a passion so confused. So now he is painting the picture of Shylock, how Shylock is behaving. So he said that I have never seen such a confused, such a passion, such a outburst of anger, so strange, outrageous, and so variable. So it was so strange, it was very strange, outrageous, very excessive, and it was variable, changing continuously. So Shylock was behaving in an insane manner, like the mad people. He was saying, he was behaving like insane people, as the dog Jew did utter in the street. So he was shouting in the street, and Salanio was saying dog to him. Obviously, is frequently been called dog. Salanio was saying as the dog Jew uttered in the street. And what did Shylock said? My daughter, oh my ducats, oh my daughter. So once he is crying about daughter, on the other hand he is crying about his ducats. Fled with the Christian, that's also a sorrow, that he floods, she floods with a Christian. Oh my Christian ducats. So now a Christian has taken his ducats. So he is saying, obviously Lorenzo has taken his ducats. So he is saying that my Christian ducats are gone. Justice, the law, my ducats and my daughter. That's the confused passion of Shylock. He is outcrying in the streets of Venice. He is asking for justice. He is asking for the law. He is asking for the ducats. He is asking for a daughter. So a sealed bag, two sealed bag of ducats. Once he is saying there was one sealed bag. Now he is saying there are two sealed bags. So that's why Salarino is saying that the passion was so confused. So, and jewels, two stones, two rich and precious stones. Now he is saying there were two stones, there were jewels, and that stones were very precious. So that is what Shylock is shouting in the streets, and Shylock himself is not saying like this. It is being called by the mouth of Salanio. Salanio is saying that Shylock was behaving like this. Stolen by my daughter. Justice, find the girl. So he is asking for justice, and he is asking that the girl should be find out. She hath the stones upon her and the ducat. So the girl has stones and my ducats. So that is what the outcry of Shylock in the streets of Venice. Salarino says, why all the boys in the Venice follow him, crying the stones, his daughter and his ducats. So Salarino also laughs on this, that he is saying that, well, all the boys in Venice, the little boys, the guys in Venice are following and crying him diamonds, ducats and daughter. So that's a rather scene created in Venice, that Shylock is crying and the boys, the urchins of the Venice are also crying, making fun of Shylock. Now Salanio is saying, let good Antonio look to keep his day, or he shall pay for this. So he is saying that let Antonio make his payment on the day that the bond, otherwise he have to pay for the default. So he has a little concern that Antonio should pay on time, because they are friends of Antonio. So they are having a sympathy with Antonio and hatred for the Shylock. So now what Salarino says, Mary well remembered. So now Salarino tells a news, that what news he has heard. So he said, by Virgin Mary, I swear Virgin Mary, that I remember I reasoned with a Frenchman yesterday. So I talked with a Frenchman yesterday. I talked with a French person who told me that in the narrow seas that part the French and the English, they are miscarried. So in the narrow sea, in the space where the English and the French channels depart, England and the France depart. So, it is a small channel. So, in that channel, obviously that is English channel. So, there miscarried a vessel of our country richly fraught. So, at that point a vessel of our country, of Venice, the vessel, the ship of our country has wrecked, and that was richly fraught, that was overladen. So, the ship was miscarried. So, I thought upon Antonio when he told me, and wished in silence that it were not his. So, Salarino is saying that when I got the news that a ship has been miscarried, a ship has been wrecked, a ship has been damaged, I thought that it must be a ship of Antonio, but I prayed in silence that it were not Antonio's ship. So, being a friend, he is thinking of a well wish of Antonio, but actually it is a ship of Antonio that is being wrecked in the small channel between France and England. So, that is the news he got from the Frenchman. Now, what Salanio says, you were best to tell Antonio what you hear, you do not suddenly, for he may grieve him. So, Salanio advised him that it is better for you to tell Antonio what you have heard. So, what you have known from the Frenchman, go and tell to Antonio, but do not tell at once, because that will make him sad, because he may get a shock from listening the news at once. So, now Salarino says that how kind a gentleman Antonio is. In this, the coming dialogue, it will be very clear that what are Salarino's view about Antonio, and that is views of a friend. So, Salarino says, a kinder gentleman treats not on earth. So, such a kind gentleman has not lived on earth. I saw Bassanio and Antonio part. So, he is saying that I saw when there was a farewell between Antonio and Bassanio. He was the one who was looking how they parted. So, as Bassanio went to Balmont, so he is saying that Bassanio told him he would make some speed. So, Bassanio told that he will come by furnishing his work in a hurry, he will come in a hurry. On his return, he answered, do not so. What Antonio answered? Antonio answered, do not do this, do not so. He said, slubber not business for my sake, Bassanio. So, do not rush for my sake, do not rush from Belmont for my sake, but stay the very ripening of the time, but stay there unless your time ripes in Belmont. So, do not rush over, do not spoil your job over there. And for the Jew's bond which he hath for me, and I have a bond of a Jew which the Jew had for me, let it not enter in your mind of love. So, do not spoil your mind with that bond issue. So, it should not enter your mind. Your mind is filled with love, in that mind this bond story must not enter. Be merry and employ your chiefest thoughts. So, you should enjoy and you should do your best, you should employ your chiefest thoughts to courtship and such ostents of love, to the manners of the courts, obviously, because Belmont is obviously like a little kingdom of Colchos, has been explained. So, courtship and such fair ostents of love and displays of love. So, you should focus on displaying your love there, neither you should not think of the bond over there, and shall conveniently become you there, and you should live there conveniently. And even there, his eyes being big with tears, and when he was saying this, the tears were in the eyes of Antonio, turning his face, but he did not let Bassanio know that he is weeping, that he is having tears in the eye. So, he is turning his face, he put his hand behind him. So, he turned his face and put his hand behind him, and then with the affection wondrous sensible, and then with the love that is by the love by which Antonio is moved to Bassanio, by the love, what did he did? He wrung Bassanio's hand, and so they parted. So, he just hold the hand of Bassanio, and with this turned face he parted over there. So, he did not let Bassanio know that he has tears in his eyes, and he said that do not rush to come over here, do your job there and just express your love, whatever you are going to do that, and do not bother about the bond. So, this is what Salarino says about Antonio, and about the shylock, that how confused a person shylock is, that was said by Salanio. So, Salanio tells about shylock and Salarino tells about Antonio. So, in this way they parted. Now, Salanio says, I think he only loves the word for him. So, Salanio is saying that Antonio loves the word due to Bassanio. He is living just due to Bassanio. I pray thee, let us go to find him out. And I request you, let us go and find out Antonio, because they are worried about the news that the ship has been wrecked, and quicken his embraced heaviness. And we should go and we should rate his low spirits, because he is in low spirits because Bassanio has parted, with some delight or others. So, we should uplift his spirits, so that he may get some amusement. So, Salanio says, do we so, means yes, let us do so. So, Salanio and Salarino just discuss, and they are planning to go to Antonio to uplift and raise his spirit. So, that was a short scene of Act 2, Scene 8, and it is an prior scene of the cascade scene of Prince of Aragon. So, with that the discussion completes. So, you are with me in this video. Thank you for being with me and watching this series. Thank you very much.